Welcome, General Phil Breedlove, back to the Cipher Brief studio. General Breedlove, of course, served as Supreme Allied Commander of NATO and touched base with us a little earlier in the week before the summit wrapped up. I'm very interested to hear, did things end the way you thought they needed to end this week at The Hague?
Yes. Thanks again for having me on. And I think this is a good news message. We had some concern going into this. And as he was going to the helicopter, you saw his interaction on the break in the 12-day war. And he was not in a good mood when he boarded that helicopter headed for Europe. And so I think we've had a great summit. Let's just give some credit to Secretary General Rutte and the members of the NAC because we needed unity. And we'll talk a little more about that in just a second. But when the U.S. president arrived, they had come to unity on the 5%. Even Spain, which we were told was going to be a holdout, was on board. And I think that set the stage. I mean, our president, during the first administration, everybody accused him of mean tweets and all of these things. And he was the first president in the history of NATO to get NATO to begin to seriously invest when he pushed hard on the 2%. Yeah. And so I think the president was happy when he got there, and NATO, the North Atlantic Council, the NAC, had agreed to move on with his increase, even without a big debate or anything. And so it went very, very well. I understand we'll get more. There'll be some official statements and things, but from what I understand, all of his interactions were cordial and things were quite upbeat. And I even heard, even though this is the part I've got the least feedback on, that the conversation with Zelensky went pretty well. Zelensky, I think, reported that he thought it went good. Mm-hmm. And the president certainly didn't single it out for any negative comments or anything. And so I must tell you, I'm let's see, how would my son say it? I'm stoked.
I love that description. I do think that this felt like a summit that was almost tailor-made for the president. It was an easy pop in, not a lot of debate, not a lot of back and forth. They knew what to expect going into it. Do you think that helped fuel the outcome?
Yes. Very few people understand how NATO works. The Secretary General is actually very important, but he's not the decider. He works for the NAC, just like the SACEUR works for the NAC, just like the SACP works for the NAC. But Secretary General Rutte has managed that process extremely well to get everybody to where he needed them to be. And so we need to give him some credit for organizing the pulling together of all of the nations to get them to the right place. And so I think their vision was to keep this short, to the point, get to the things that the U.S. president wants to accomplish, get those accomplished, and come out of this with a big unifying statement. And who is that unifying statement for? Of course, it's for all of our nations and our alliance and all that sort of stuff. But the most important recipient of that message is Mr. Putin. Yeah. Mr. Putin works hard to tear NATO down. He tries to peel off individual countries and leaders. He tries to incite the issues inside of what they're trying to accomplish. And Secretary General Rutte pulled the team together, got them on the same play in the playbook, moved out, and didn't waste any time. And I think that's exactly how this U.S. president likes to work.
Yeah, I think it was clear also going into this that Russia is the real threat, as you mentioned, when it comes to NATO. They're the ones that NATO is most concerned about, especially given what they've done to Ukraine over the last 3+ years now. And it's still a little bit unclear as to where President Trump is going to come down on Russia when it comes to how much pressure he's going to be willing to apply. We saw a little bit of movement toward possibility of some more support for Ukraine. Where do you think the options are there? And if you're, if you're the Russian president, how are you looking at the outcome of this summit in particular?
So I'm both encouraged and disencouraged on this front. I think there's a lot of people that believe we're ready now and should be going in with the next round of heavy sanctions
Against Russia.
and to go after fuels and go after the shadow fleet and begin to now really strangle Russia. And as you saw, our U.S. Secretary of State in his statement said we're not going there now because it might preclude some sort of a ceasefire or peace agreement here. And so he's going to hold off. Russia won that round. That's what they want. Keep stalling, keep stalling, keep the Americans thinking there's going to be a deal, and keep attacking Ukraine. So we've got to move past that. And I think eventually this is going to happen. If we learned anything from the 12-day war, it is that our president has a line. And when these parties go over that line, he will act. And so now we are hoping to see that. We see that Zelensky, we hammered Ukraine. We took away their intelligence. We took away their support. And we gave it back pretty quick. But the bottom line is we did damage to Ukraine to get them where we need to get them. Now it's time to give Mr. Putin a straightforward program. Get on the program, sir, or you're going to regret it.
Yeah.
And it's time to pull that stick out and use it the same way we did on several other countries in the last 3 or 4 months in the White House. And that has not happened. We look forward to that happening. But on your other point, yes, there seems to be some understanding that possibly we're going to keep the flow, maybe even change or increase the flow. Let's don't get too carried away of supply to Ukraine. And I haven't got the facts yet, so I'll just report a rumor, which is really not very smart. But I heard that the United Kingdom has used some of the frozen Russian money to bring some supplies for Ukraine. I think that's going to turn out to be true, but I haven't confirmed it yet. That is a great step forward. When the oligarchs' money that is frozen all over the world starts disappearing and actually being used to finance the war against Russia, that will be a masterstroke when it comes to Mr. Putin.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk around that during the Munich Security Forum earlier this year, and then the talk seemed to die down and really not turn to a lot of action. So it's great to hear rumors like that and keep them coming. General Phil Breedlove, former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO, Cipher Brief expert, really appreciate you taking the time to give us some context around these things. I always learn so much every time we talk. Thank you.
All right, great to see you.
Likewise.